if you don't bring ABCD document, you are likely to miss a city status. You can imagine assembling our team, the municipal team, the district team, and running everywhere. And I made sure the next day at 10,
you had all he wanted.
Every document we needed, and we found the Honorable Adolf in his office waiting for us. Now, the last part, just very briefly, that I'll talk about. This is now when we join the 11th Parliament.
Can't we pick it from there?
Please, that would be okay.
Thank you very much. You can see how time flies when we are talking about Omoro's finest export. We shall be back. Our viewers out there, do not dare touch that dial. We shall be back. Thank you. How long is the break?
Pay for your dream phone, Mpola. Get your dream phone today for as low as 1,400 Uganda shillings with free data for a year and pay slowly. All phones come with daily 50 MBs for 12 months. Repayment period is 1 year. Available at MTN service centers and M-Copper shops.
Where does it come from? That thing that makes us Ugandan. That thing that makes us different from everybody else. Where does it grow infinitely? Some say it's in our history, in our culture, and in our hearts, in our warm smiles and vast miles of coffee, dairy farmland, and amazing maize fields. It's in our inherent pursuit to always be better, to never stop growing and glowing. So you see, we are more than just a waving flag. We are a nation of sweat and skills, a nation of ideas and inventions. But what truly makes us Ugandan is our quest to improve the quality of life for Ugandans by creating sustainable jobs, businesses, and improving household incomes. That's what makes us Uganda Development Bank.
Uganda Development Bank. Inspiring development.
When COVID came, it felt like it destroyed everything my mom had built. She was ready to let go of her dreams. But when one door shuts, a window opens. She grabbed her last money and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and Grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Mirinda.
Grab yourself an ice-cold bottle of Mirinda Orange at any shop or supermarket near you. Mirinda Orange, the taste that makes you go ORNG.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Select option 2, school pay. Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Thank you very much. Our viewers, we are back to the studios and we are still discussing the Right Honorable Speaker, the late Jacob Oulanyah. He's commonly known for his bow tie, the signature mustache, as well as his eloquence, as the panelists have described. We are expecting a brief clip from the Chief Justice at the vigil. Can we have it, production team, is it ready?
The Buganda I know, the Buganda I'm proud to associate myself with, are a very welcoming people. And that's why they've assimilated all sorts of people. Very accommodating. But I am speaking today, and my brother, you are here. When Jacob was still alive, when he could still read his phone, he saw the wickedness that was exhibited by people who come from here. Oulanyah, go back home. That why do you come to hospital here? Go back home. You should come and die here at home. Then in several fora, this social media, reason, you are the ones propping up Museveni, the dictator. Those are their words. Had it not been for you, meaning Oulanyah's people, because in the elections of 2021, Oulanyah's people voted for Museveni. That's a fact. You are the one propping. So they demonized my brother, your brother. They continue to demonize him even in death.
Yes, thank you very much. That is the Chief Justice speaking at the vigil at the Right Honorable Speaker's residence in Myenga. Back to the studio and our panelists, Honorable Cecilia Ogwal. While assuming office as the 10th Speaker for Uganda since independence, the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah said he wanted to raise the level of debate in Parliament. He called for tolerance, he called for evidence-based debate, and while as a Deputy Speaker, he had complaints on the low levels, the low quality of debate in the House and lack of research, which he voiced out on several occasions. What's your take on that?
I think on the quality of debate, many of us were concerned. Many of us were concerned because I was fortunate to have gone through the Constituent Assembly debates, 6th Parliament, 7th Parliament, 8th Parliament. And when you look back, you find that the quality of debates when we were in the Constituent Assembly was so high. And you can even follow, even when you read the answer, you can see that it was, almost every session was loaded with facts, research, information, and so on. And so this definitely, we all felt it, even us. We felt that the debates had gone down. And this is due to a number of factors. One, there is a general feeling where everybody who is elected a member of parliament feels the moment he's elected a member of parliament, he can be a member of parliament and he can be effective debater as a member of parliament. So that's the mindset of many of the members of parliament who come in. Parliament is supposed to be training every member on how to debate, how to research for information, and how to find his or her bearing around to know where the library is, to know where the research department is, and be able to come up with a research kind of debate. But this is something which cannot be forced. It needs a willing learner on the side of the debater. So that's one of the weaknesses that we have. Of course, we are trying our best to effectively use the Parliamentary Training Institute, but that is not enough because now we are so many. And in fact, this particular parliament have not had opportunity to be trained actually in the induction, because induction is so important, very, very important, because it gives you a foundation upon which you can now build on your own quality. So that we have missed. But that is something where we miss Oulanyah, but we feel that we should be reminded constantly that we have to be properly guided by the rules of procedure. We should be mindful of timekeeping, the way Oulanyah has introduced it, and definitely generally change the culture. All of us should be involved. One thing I remember about Oulanyah, and this I don't want to miss, Oulanyah had developed a style of debate that is so well informed about. I think he prepares whenever he knows that he's going to chair a meeting. He almost gets to know everything that is coming. So he researches and is very well informed. And Oulanyah can take you on. And he plays games, and you have to know him well to know that he's playing game. Sweet and sour game. Sweet and sour, yeah. Yes. There's times he can show you that you know nothing, and you can bring up an issue and he can ask you something related to that. Like for example, I used to hit. I like hitting government a lot on the issue of budget. So I was taking them on the order of mandamus. I'm not a lawyer, so here I am now, not even being a lawyer, because pretending to be a lawyer, and pretending to be explaining to the House this thing called the order of mandamus. And Oulanyah was on the chair. So I struggled, and Oulanyah asked.
But you had read about it.
Of course, I know the subject, I know what it is all about. But yeah, I mean, what was concerning, but why is this lady struggling? If a legislator doesn't know order of mandamus, go and find it elsewhere. But for me, for the purpose of information, I just tell them this is what order of mandamus. But I was trying to make these people understand so that they would support my position, and also to use the other skills that we use to get your position as supported. So Oulanyah realized that I was now tilting the debate on the other side. So then he asked the person next to me to give me water to drink, which I...
Where are you choking?
Yeah, and I refused to drink that water, and I asked Rebecca Otengo to get me the water to show that I didn't trust that water. But so he was actually fighting me indirectly. So we knew what was happening. But at the end of the day, they said, that is a legal issue. Why don't you leave it to the lawyers to handle it for you? Now, he was now trying to stop me from scoring the goal.
Yes.
That is one thing. Then one time, Odongoto was the chair of the Government Assurance Committee. And he didn't appear in Parliament, but his issue had come on the floor of Parliament. We were supposed to pass a bill. It was supposed to come as private member's bill, but you have to ask for permission. But you must explain what the bill is all about, what it's supposed to do. So Odonga Otoa was not in the House, and I was the opposition chief whip. So Oulanyah now had now started that sweet and sour game. So we said the mover of the motion is not there. Then he said, but the opposition chief whip is here. So I stood up. Now I'm supposed to read the motion, and I comfortably read the motion. And I sat down, and I said, beg to move. So I went and sat down. Then Oulanyah said, can you speak to your motion? Now, he knew I don't, he knew I don't see the motion. He knew I had not seen it. He knew I was not expected to be moving it. He made me to move it. And he said, okay, now that you have moved the motion, can you speak to your motion? So now, I was so angry with him, but I had to stand up. And then I steadied myself, and I started speaking to the motion, but now speaking in general knowledge of what the bill is supposed to. Yes, but I did it very eloquently. Then he wrote to me when I sat down. When I was very, he said, now I know where our genes have come from.
But Honorable Cecilia, as you conclude.
Yes, but let me tell you, there are two people that I have known who had mastered the skill which very people don't know. In debates, Commonwealth, American debates, there's what they call filibustering. It's where you can, it's difficult sometimes to stop a bill or to stop a resolution from being passed. But as members of the opposition, we have to try our best sometimes to just make things difficult when we can't win. And filibustering is one of the methods we use. You debate a matter to divert attention of the House in a direction, and you are so eloquent and your oratory ability is so powerful that you actually catch everybody's attention, swing them in this direction, then you go to the other direction, you talk, so that at the end of the day you think this person is very balanced, and that's what Oulanyah was applying.
Yes.
At the end of the day, he has tilted the debate in the direction he wanted and not in the other debate. And then when it comes to now put it on the vote, the I have had it. So most of the time I would catch him red-handed. I would say, Jacob, what have you just done?
Honorable Cecilia, you were in the Constituent Assembly. You participated in the making of the Constitution. Article 109 of the Constitution provides for transition in case the presidency falls vacant. Article 133 in Clause 2 provides for transition in case the office of the Chief Justice falls vacant and does not even prescribe the time. It says the Deputy Chief Justice shall carry on until the post of Chief Justice is filled. On the presidency, the transition is 6 months for organizing elections as the vice president acts. In countries like Tanzania, the vice president takes over and completes the term because they have the running mate system. What went wrong when it came to the legislative arm of government, where there is no provision for transition?
I think that was an oversight. I looked at it myself when this thing happened, and actually it's most unfortunate. This is the first time we are losing a speaker in office. To tell you the truth, I was most struck, and I realized, yes, it is true. I looked at Article 82 and 81, which has been quoted by many people. But that provides when a new parliament is elected and when the current parliament has now expired. So there is that position when the current parliament has expired, the new members have been elected, but there is no speaker. So what that article says is that in the absence of a speaker, no business can be transacted in the House. So I think that was just to provide for the election of the new House. In other words, we are elected, but before we can do any business, the speaker must be elected first. And you have realized that over the years, we have done it religiously. That new parliament is elected, we are sworn in, and the first business we do, which is chaired by the Chief Justice, is to elect the speaker, and then the business starts. So,
no, but the same article goes further to say whenever
the speaker falls vacant,
that office falls vacant.
Yes, actually that provision assumes that without a speaker, yes, is not fully constituted. What went wrong? Why difference?
I know. And now I can only blame just retired Justice Kanyahamba and Honorable Ben Watcher, because these were distinguished lawyers that we drew a lot of knowledge from them, and they were the ones who actually remained behind to make sure that everything fell in line. So I don't know what happened, but I must say it was a very serious oversight. It has happened. It has hit us hard. But like any other person who was in the Constituent Assembly, I think you have to forgive us because we didn't do it deliberately, or we did not do it thinking that we would be confronted with the situation we are in. Right now, we look extremely ugly because while people are mourning, and this is a very painful thing, particularly for those of us who come from the north. One thing is to mourn a national leader. Another thing is to mourn a relative, to mourn a child. The pain is there. But while the pain is there, you're asking us to choose another leader. Look,
because
even
of the lacuna in the law.
Even in our culture, when the husband is dead, if you were to be asked, like when they used to have wife's inheritance or whatever it is, you are not going to say, now you wife, before we bury your husband, show us who is going to be your next husband. It's very cruel. I mean, this is extremely.
Yes. Coming.
You know, I have looked at the provisions of the law, and I don't want the members of parliament. I mean, this
were you in CA?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't. I was in the 6th Parliament, soon after the CA. I want us to mourn the late Jacob Oulanyah. Let us bury him. Let the people, members of the family and the people, especially of northern Uganda, who have lost a dear one, understand the circumstances under which we are moving because of the provisions in the law. I've been on a number of media houses and people are asking, others were saying, NRM is fond of touching. Why don't you touch this article so? And then you defer. I even had the member of parliament, one of the new members of parliament, expressing his inadequacies by saying, why don't we suspend the rules of procedure so that...
But you can't suspend the constitution.
That's why I tell you that was an inadequacy of a member who was the second term. He's the second term. And he has been a parliamentary commissioner, saying that why don't we suspend the rules of procedure so that we finish burying, and was giving a position to the population and misleading the people. And that is going to be one of the biggest problems in parliament. Because when you look at Honorable Oulanyah and you listen to what he was saying, he took time to study what Wapakabulu was. He learned the way Wapakabulu handled the CA. He interacted and took time to learn. Now, when you read his charge, which he gave immediately he was elected as speaker, the things he tended to do were meant to help the young people and new members of parliament especially learn how the game is done. How do you argue a point? How do you build the scenarios? How do you undermine the other? How do you politely... Oulanyah would politely insult you.
Yes.
And leave you bruised, but not hurt.
Maybe I just speak from there.
So because of that, when you look at the law, I thought, in my own interpretation, I thought that because Oulanyah is... The speaker is number 3 in the country.
Yes.
Could be they thought... somebody to preside over the tribute of the speaker, which is a requirement under the law, would be somebody of equal status. That may be the implication. The second one was to find out from the lawyers, when the office of the speaker ceases to be, does it negate the office of the deputy speaker because you are deputizing nobody?
Actually, the Constitution assumes, in its current form, that the deputy speaker is only assisting the speaker and has no powers to preside over on his or her own.
On her own, in the absence.
Yes.
Because she uses delegated powers.
Yes.
But if you don't do that, and separate it, you can also create a problem in the House. You'd rather maintain that delegated status.
I think it's important to consult the Hansard.
Yeah, but just to...
Honorable Jara wants to come in.
Yeah, what is explaining and the feelings out there is that this should have been the time to pay respect, to mourn, and prepare to give a decent send-off. And this is not just, even culturally, this would not be the time to talk about elections and all that. So that is the general feeling, especially in northern Uganda and actually sub-region particularly, and even Lao.
Our culture.
That is the general feeling, and people are upset about this.
The entire Uganda.
No, it's the entire Uganda. I've been in the media houses here in Kampala.
So this is a general concern, and all of us are concerned about it. But just as you said, there is how we feel and think, but there is also the law. And so there are two sets of laws. The Constitution is Article 82, but also the Parliamentary Pension Act. Now, when you look at the Constitution, just as you say it, the provision is that no business can be conducted when the office of the Speaker is vacant. All right? So no business can be conducted. But then when you look at the Parliamentary Pensions Act, again provides details of what happens when a sitting Speaker
dies in office.
And the Constitution is supreme.
Exactly, the Constitution is supreme. There are many details provided for in the Parliamentary Pensions Act, including Parliament paying tribute. And it is also stated clearly that a Speaker would be given a state burial, and in the process, taking the body to Parliament. Now you see the contradiction. Here is a provision in the Constitution saying no business will be conducted when the office of the Speaker is vacant, and then the other one saying the body should be taken to Parliament. Now that's where the dilemma is created. So for me, the solution is that from this experience, I think Parliament needs to take a step to have that corrected. Now, the other thing that I want to touch on very briefly is the kind of package the Honorable Jacob Oulanyah had prepared himself to bring to the 11th Parliament. I remember immediate after his election, and I was telling a story before we went off, and I'm not going back to that story, but I was telling you the struggle, and just something very important, because I mentioned, as I was giving that background, where sometimes the Honorable Jacob Oulanyah went through very difficult situation, even when he's not guilty of anything. I remember in 2016, during that campaign, he was framed. There were leaders who knew Honorable Jacob Oulanyah was on his way to winning. So what they did, they came to Kampala, doctored a letter purportedly written by the Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, offering land, 23,000, square miles.
Oh no.
That was a letter doctored by some leaders.
From Acholi.
From Acholi. Just to make sure he is defeated in that election. So the day...
That is called the chemical in campaign.
So the day he was going to Odek sub-county, the area of, towards, it's actually Lamola Parish. People had prepared that there was some aerial survey, Maxton had been put, and the land was being given away to Museveni. That was the story created. A fake letter, purportedly written by and people prepared. And that day I do not know what would have happened. So when I got to know about it, I was chairman of the district. Omoro had not yet become a district.
Yes.
I drove from Gulu to that place in the middle of the campaign. Now I left my own campaign, took responsibility as chairman, went on the ground. And I started, he was there, he couldn't talk. People had become extremely wild.
Very hostile.
His escorts were there. He was already deputy speaker, but they were overpowered. So I went and said, look, this is what has happened. And I started explaining this is a fake letter.
In these recent elections?
2016.
When he lost?
2016. No.
Oh, when he passed.
Again.
Yes.
Yes. That was 2016. It was nasty.
But it was a desperate move
Exactly.
to stop
So
his,
later on, he
stop
asked me
his
and said,
victory.
when I calmed down the situation, I explained, because the Maxton people were claiming to have been put by Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. There was some geological survey done, and I think there was this geologists, they were doing their own surveys. Nothing to do with
land.
Nothing to do with taking somebody's land. But the intention was, so later on he asked and said, now after that, he said, Mapenduzi, how did you come to rescue me? And I said, you know, politics is not about destroying people. And I don't think this is right. And so, now, when we came to Parliament, this 11th Parliament, of course he was very excited that I had come to Parliament after all the processes and a lot of the support he gave to Gulu District local government. I remember immediately after election he said, Chairman Mapenduzi, so you have now decided to climb down from being a chair to an ordinary member of Parliament. And he laughed. I said, yes. So the first thing Honorable Jacob said, Mapenduzi, if you want to be a good leader, you have to read. You have to take time and read. You are not coming to Parliament just to make noise. You are coming to Parliament to work. So after his election, we sat down and he said, I want two things. I want this Parliament to be a pro-people Parliament. A Parliament that cares about the ordinary Ugandans. And any member of Parliament who is just coming to talk from a very uninformed point of view is not likely to enjoy. People have to do research. People have to be informed. I remember in around October, July, I brought some motion, Mama. There were some NGOs who petitioned him. They petitioned the office of the Speaker. They came, they are under an umbrella called ICANN, the International Campaign Against a Nuclear Weapon.
Yes.
So they came with their documents, petitioned the office of the Speaker. The Honorable Jacob received them, gave them time. They took the whole day trying to justify their claims. So Honorable Jacob studied that document. So I was in Gulu, and I saw his call. I said, Omer Amadid, my elder brother. He said, Mapenduzi, where are you? I said, I'm in Gulu. He said, come to Kampala. I said, well, I'm already preparing to come. That I want to see you tomorrow. So the next day I went to his office. He said, I know you read a lot. And I know you know your job. So I have a very interesting document here. I am going to give you this document. Go, read, and tell me what we can do about it. So I got the document. I went and read. A bulky document. So the next day I said, Honorable, Right Honorable, I have read this document, and whatever you want me to do with this document, I think I have understood. So how do we move forward? Said, prepare a motion. I went ahead, prepared this motion. So I came to the house. I'm not sure whether you were there, Honorable. I came to the house with this motion, a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to sign and ratify the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons.
Yeah, my wife.
Yes, you were there. I brought this motion. That's when I realized reading and getting the knowledge you need
is very important.
Is very important.
Thank you very much, Mapenduzi. You want to conclude on that?
Yeah, I want to conclude on that.
Bring in
because when I brought this motion, actually I learned something very interesting. There were members of Parliament who said, where is this coming from? I remember being approached by some MPs and saying, you man, do you know what you are talking about? You want to cause problem in this country. And then others followed and said, who is sponsoring you? This must be America. Now, the opposition, there was a meeting. And the Honorable Opposition Chief Whip told me point blank and said, Mapenduzi, we think you are being used by the state to bring this motion. We are going to shoot it down. Then another member of the NRM met me and said, so you man, now America is using you to bring this thing. This is being fronted by the opposition. We'll shoot it. And then later on, after the debate, and it was sent to the Committee on Foreign Affairs, then the Honorable Nabeshe came back and said, I think I misunderstood the whole thing. I think we judged you wrongly. You brought this from...
was very timely.
Yeah, it was timely. Actually, today, when we see what is happening, then we begin to reflect whether, you know. So, to me, the short period was a period of learning from his, you know, words, but also how he would conduct business in Parliament, and how he would give time for people to, you can bring in whatever way what you have, but it would help. Honorable Jacob Oulanyah was always available, and when you go to him, he would give time, listen to you, and give you the right advice.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mapenduzi. Mr. Chinobe, I want your take on the lacuna in the law, or any other comments surrounding the situation.
First, of course, the Speaker of Parliament was not supposed to die. When you read the Constitution, he was supposed to live in perpetuity.
Exactly.
I think our elders feared that if they put succession, the Speaker may die. Now he has died.
But we did it for others.
But they put it on other things.
But this is what I think in life and in my experience, there is no perfect law. No matter how thought out it is, it will have its insufficiencies. And that's why you have petitions, you have cases challenging laws. That's why lawyers will never agree on certain aspects of the law, and you have adversarial exchanges in court and have a person with a wig to decide who is right in terms of interpreting the law, etc. But also the law, even when perfect, keeps changing. It has life. It breathes life. It's supposed to be in tandem with the reality. And so I think the time has come for us to sit and think about the Constitution. It's not just that provision. There are many other provisions that have wreaked havoc, that have created oblivion, that need to be looked at. And I think this is the time for the President to appoint the Constitutional Review Commission. And I think in one of the provisions of the Constitution, it's provided for.
We don't even have a Minister for Constitutional Affairs.
So we need to put that in place. The Constitution was supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to go back to the people and say, is it in tandem with what you'd like? Is it in line with reality? Is it an okay? Now you see, that provision on election of a speaker goes against our culture, period. Whether you're Muganda, whether you're Mnyoro, whether you are from the north,
and
it doesn't
the national
matter.
mood, it's really terrible.
We are replacing a person before they go cold. So it's contrary to our customs. And you know what Article 229 says, anything contrary to the aspirations of Ugandans and our customs, it is. So I think this is the time for us to have the Constitutional Review Commission to look at those provisions of law and see which ones need amendment, which ones need rectification, and which ones should be maintained. We also talked about the quality of debate in Parliament, an aspect that has been considerably understated. My view on Parliament are known, but I think also this is the time to really look at the caliber of people we send. And many people won't talk about this, but I mean, how are you going to understand and debate a law when you can't even read? How are you going to understand and debate a law when you don't even know what is happening in the country? You don't know what's happening in the world. You don't know the current affairs. Your levels of education are questionable. And you know, these are the things we're talking about. If you want quality in debate, it has to be reciprocated by quality and the caliber of people you send to the House. That won't change. You'll continue having, pardon me for those in parliament, a mediocre parliament, until you address the issue of the quality of people that go to parliament. And that's the reality. That's the reality. You need to start looking at the parliaments from the, I mean, my brother and director Emmanuel Dombo and my mother Cecilia Gwal will tell you, when you look at the parliamentarians before we were born, post independence, the quality of debates we have now, I really, my child can make some, I think, better debates in some instances.
But that's,
and
why,
very unfortunate.
That's why, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think academic qualification is not adequate.
No.
Because I have actually read a lot and studied the Hansard of the earlier parliaments. When you look at their qualification, some of them had not even reached O level.
Of course, qualification is just basic.
Yeah,
but there are other areas of assessing competence.
And when you see that person who has not even got O level standing up to speak, he would speak even for 1 hour on an issue.
Madam Cecilia.
Well articulated.
Madam Cecilia, when you look at the current situation, the member of parliament ought to have been even better, because technology facilitates research,
things better,
facilitates information. With the phone or the iPads. I was a parliamentary commissioner when we introduced iPads and wanted to do a paperless parliament. We thought would enhance members to do research, but they use the iPads for taking pictures more
and playing cards
than they use for research.
Can you believe somebody flipping pages with saliva on an iPad?
Distinguished panelists, let me bring in some comments from the public. We have some comments that have come in. Juma Moses from Namgongo, you're saying, thank you, Sarah, for the show. Kindly thank for me, Emmanuel Dombo, for the history of how far they've come with the late Jacob. You should finish writing the script with Masawa in memory of the Jacob, rest in peace. Richard Ochieng from Tororo. He thanks panelists for the debate, but as for the people of Tororo, we are very disappointed with SEC, because Jacob Oulanyah being a man, it would be good to replace him with a fellow man. Stevenson from Chengera Town Council. Though I did not know Jacob personally, as a Ugandan, I can't fail to say we have lost a man of good character. In his victory speech, his focus was on reconciliation and service to Ugandans. A calm and open gentleman who loved his country. He will always be remembered for service above self. Samuel from Arua, on one critical thing I'll never forget, Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, is his brave speech in the presence of the president during the anti-corruption procession in Kampala, that we are all corrupt people, and if corruption is to end, we need individual change of mindset to preach anti-corruption messages to ourselves. Asimwe Hafashimana. The Right Honorable Speaker Jacob Oulanyah is being a great inspiration to the students of this country. His love towards Uganda National Students Association shall forever be missed. I want to start with you, Honorable Dombo, on the state of affairs of our medical facilities. We have had several dignitaries having to travel abroad in critical conditions and then die from there. The list is endless, but recently we have, of course, the Right Honorable Speaker, we have the late Governor Mtebire, Bank of Uganda, General Pecos Kutesa, Honorable Katega, to mention just a few. For 36 years, can't we have a hospital that can be used to treat our VIPs and citizens in dignity and in a timely manner?
It is possible, but however much we build and improve hospitals, we can never perhaps stop the process of medical referrals. Because technology differs. I was talking to one of the specialists today when I went to Entebbe for the SEC meeting, and was saying that the therapy which they were trying to do for Honorable Oulanyah is only in about 2 or 3 hospitals in the whole world.
3 countries, France,
Only
Germany, and America.
So
yes.
whatever, whether we build hospitals here, there will always be an opportunity to look for modern medicine, depending on the patents.
Yes, but what is the state of
But
our
now
hospitals?
the problem,
yes.
where is the director from Lago? You ask yourself. The speech which Honorable Oulanyah gave before the president on the Anti-Corruption Day, when they were marched against corruption, it was specifically addressing right now the people. There are 2 major principal cases which have happened recently. There is some lady from northern Uganda who was arrested because of robbing medicine in billions of shillings. I read recently in the papers. Right now, the director of Mulago Hospital is struggling in courts of law to find out whether he can be freed and reinstated. Yet at the same time, when you look at the obvious things that he's accused of doing, it is something that is very... So with these levels of corruption, it's not because government has failed, but the government has injected in resources, but like the statement Honorable Oulanyah made, until we do soul searching and we strengthen the law so that the people who divert, who misappropriate the resources of government, which they inject in the medical facilities, in education schools, in the education facilities, and many other, the roads, then we are going to have a big problem happening in this country because of corruption. But the anti-corruption unit in the State House, I don't know whether in the prosecution department they are going to help us and the judiciary to do a good job so that the people who are suspected of corruption, once we begin putting them and locking them on conviction, or not on suspicion, then this can be something that will improve service delivery in the country. I want to thank Honorable Penduzi. I have been in Gulu, and I've kept asking myself, what medicine did this man who was here as a leader do to have this network of roads in Gulu? That many UCMD projects, people have eaten money in municipalities throughout Uganda and cities now.
Okay, Honorable, we are running out of time and we are going to give our parting shots. Yep. But as we conclude, you tell the viewers how best you want the country to remember Oulanyah, but also briefly touch on any other issue that you want to mention as in your parting shots.
Well, just to keep it short, the best way to remember the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah is to make sure we pursue the aspirations, the kind of commitment he had. Commitment number 1, to have a pro-people parliament. Number 2, to have the kind of parliament that gives the quality the country needs. And of course, we need to fight corruption. Those 3 are very key. And if we commit ourselves to doing those, then we will have kept his aspirations alive. That's all I can say.
Honorable Cecilia, how best should we remember Oulanyah as a country?
Well, 3 things I would want to bring up. First, Oulanyah was Christian focus. And I think when we are talking about fighting corruption, it starts from you. It starts from your spiritual status. God just gave us 2 commandments: to love him with all your heart and everything that you have, and to love your neighbors as you love yourself. And once you love your neighbor, you cannot steal. And that's why in some Islamic countries, you can leave your handbag anywhere and nobody will pick it. So I think we need to change our character. We need to change our mindset. And it starts from the top. If the late Tanzanian president within a short time was able to turn around their functionality of the apparatus of state, it can happen in Uganda. And I think fighting corruption would start from our spiritual self. Let's look at ourselves and let us be more human than materialistic the way we have been. You know, these days, even, I don't know, when you talk about corruption, look at even the kind of appointments. You'll find that nepotism is no longer something to be ashamed of. You'll find somebody in the office with his brother and sister and cousin and everybody, and nobody's. That is a high level of corruption. So whatever is taking place there, nobody's talking about it. We need to stop nepotism, and we need to, whoever you appoint in office must qualify for that office. But that is the kind of thing which is bringing corruption. You put a person who is not competent, and people now will manipulate those weak areas. And finally, as Parliament, I don't know how we are going to put the two team leaders in Parliament, because it's only NRM that has the vote. But if I was given the choice to use my maturity and my spiritual antenna, I would arrive at two people and will guide them on how to move. But right now, the NRM will dictate who is going to preside over Parliament. But whoever will be put there, let them be mindful of what Oulanyah left on the table, the unfinished mission. Change the style of debate, change the quality of debate, and be more people's focus. That is actually our mission and vision, which is already adopted by the Parliamentary Commission. So let us make sure that we implement that. And there is this thing of benchmarking, going abroad and doing, those are things which are not very necessary. If you can facilitate a member of Parliament well, leave out all those other allowances, focus on his salary, because from that salary, he will get his pension. Because most people, whenever they lose elections, straight to State House to beg for a job. But if you give a good pension to a member of Parliament, he will depend on that pension. And that also is one way of opening the door to corruption. Because now some of us who are members of the opposition, where do we run when we lose election?
Thank you very much.
Emmanuel Dombo can go to State House and he will be taken to NRM Secretariat, and earn even more than a member of Parliament. But what about we in the opposition? Where do we go? That's the problem. So they make us feel angry, and that's why conflicts will always remain with us in this country. So I pray that we'll all embrace spiritual transformation.
Thank you very much.
We all must embrace unity of purpose. May God bless us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Cecilia. Mr. Chinobe, your parting shot?
Very briefly, Singapore was able to conquer the vice of corruption by hanging the corrupt. I want to call upon Ugandans to fight the vice of corruption. Remember that we all live to die and go with nothing. As we came, so shall we go. My brother Jacob is a sign. Nobody thought he would pass. He has gone. So this should be a reality check for all of us, that upon your death, what will people say about you? That when you die, knowing that you have gone with nothing, of what value is that you have robbed the nation of? We can have an America here, we can have a UK here, we can have a German here, we can have a country that is even better than those Western worlds if we love our country and our neighbors above and beyond self. Thank you, and may my brother rest in peace.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chinobe. Honorable Dombo, you have the last word.
Just this afternoon, the Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement Party sat to select a flag bearer who will compete for the position of Speaker to replace Honorable Oulanyah. And Right Honorable Anita Mo was selected because of two reasons. The first, because of the precedent that has been set because the deputies have been encouraged to become the senior and perform and do their work. The second reason is that for the period she has been in charge of the house, she has learned fast, because when she talked to the Central Executive Committee, she said, people, I learned to swim in deep waters, but I've tried my best and I have delivered. Why can't I be supported to do more and learn more? Which the Central Executive Committee accepted, and we shall expect the chairman of the party tomorrow. He will be meeting the members of the NRM caucus in order to introduce that decision.
But you've thrown in an invoice for NRM party. We shall send it to you.
We congratulate her, but because she has been elected and she's going to get into what we are talking about, she's the immediate successor coming in to inherit in order to improve the challenges, to complete the issues Oulanyah wanted to do, and perhaps even do better. We wish her well, but let her invest much in the training of members of parliament, not by flying out, but letting people who know, like Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, those who are who have been in parliament, to come and train our young leaders so that they can taste of what Honorable Jacob Oulanyah did to us, so that they can be benefiting, and Uganda would benefit together. May the soul of Honorable Jacob rest in eternal peace.
Amen. Thank you very much, our distinguished panelists and our viewers out there. This is all we had for tonight from Behind the Headlines. I've been Sarah Bireete, stepping in for Charles Odongotho, who will be back in his seat next week.
And you are doing a good job.
Good night from UBC Studios.
Thank you very much.
Need to send money to a loved one, but you don't have enough on your phone? Have you run out of fuel, but you don't have enough money? Do you want to pay for yaka or water, but have insufficient funds? Or do you want to shop, but you don't have enough money? Don't worry. Gatawa with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transaction.